This is me, Twic Mayardit. I am with Marco today. We have come to tour the place. As you can see, the beauty of South Sudan. This is Twic Mayardit State. Turale is not even far from here. It's about 35 kilometers from where I'm standing. You can even see the boosters, the network boosters, the MTN and Zain. So this river, when I was a child, this used to be our spot. Like we could come here at around 9 o'clock and spend the whole day swimming here. So this is Dao Abiel. It is the bigger one of it. And then we have another small Dao right there. We are going to go to where it is. And then right at that big tree, we have a river called Horabiel. And then if you cut across the other side, you have another river called Managany, which is also a part within the territory of Abiel. When you go straight down, you go to Werwood. It is still in the territory of Abiel. You go all the way up to Werayu, up to Managany, and up to Lual. And then you swing around until you reach the territory of Ayer, which is about 10 kilometers away from here. And then if you go this way, southward, you go to another small river called Twic. You go to Chalsi, you go to Chalit, you go to Werachwang, you go to Werkot. All those are within the territory of Abiel, except Werkot, which is a part of our air territory. And then if you cut toward the west, you go to Ding, you go to Dingti and Dingdit, and then you go to Werkot, you go to Akol Ayer, and then right there it extends all the way up to Kolenko, which is part of Yar community. All these communities are within a mule, and it is a communal place. It's not actually a place that is owned by a community of a mule. It belongs to Twic. Like back in the days when there used to be a peace here, you could find that the Rumadiang. I'm trying to put this in Dinga so that you guys understand. I believe the viewers are mostly going to be Twic people. So Rumadiang cut from a Jong all the way up to a Red. This used to be the grazing land, together with Ruma Miol, and then the Lola Miol, which is Pandit, up to the other side of the river, together with Rock and Goitoj, all the way up to a Cap. They cut cross the river. They go to another place called Kwenya Miol, and then that is the grazing land. But this one is owned by Rumadiang and Ruma Miol. And as you can see, the grass is in abundance. And I believe the reason why you can't see cows is because there is a bit of insecurity, and all the cows have moved westward. And if you go up to that place right now, you cannot find a grass at this level because cows are dying. Excuse me, because I think there is a bit of coffee. I'm standing in the water. This one you're seeing right here is water.
Chol, you have been an educated person and you have traveled around the world. But what is unique about, why do you like to live in a remote area? You have not been in town, you have been in town, but you decide to live in the village. What is unique about it? As again, you have also been here by then, and you are able to remember all this. How do you comprehend all this as a young man, an artist, a farmer? Why do you like to be in the village more than town?
That's a good question. In fact, many people have asked me about that. One day, I had a consultation with an analyst, a psychological analyst, and she was kind of suspicious about the reason of me being, staying at the countryside and why not in the city. I told her I chose to live with my people in the countryside, especially in the rural setting. This is because there are opportunities that I see that needs to be opened up for these for the resident of rural side, because woo! You're improving the business, man. Right here where I stand down. And I have seen every opportunity is being exploited. But if you live in town, you have a minimal opportunity to do that. But when you live here, you have abundance of time, and you also have people who will respond positively to what you want to educate them about. But in town, there is competition. You will find university graduates, you find PhD holders, and all these people wanted to cause an argument over something that some of them are not, aware of. But if you come here and say, we have Dow here, why are we starving? Why are we starving? Why are we hungry? Why do we stay idle and there's a lot of fish in it? Like if you go now and put a net right there, you'll just catch a lot of fish. If it's money that you want, you take the fish and sell it in the market. And then if you want to feed, you can also feed from it. But when you are in town and you find a swamp like this, and you tell some of the street there, these people will try to put some analysis and say, okay, no, we don't need to do it like that. We need to do it this way and that way. And of course, the argument will go on and on. And at the end of the day, you'll not come up with a tangible result. But I say, staying here, you also give hope to people. When they see you, they look at you and say, this guy's educated, but why does he live here? So is our own. They also feel like they're being part of this thing, because if educated people lives among the poor, the uneducated, they will also feel that, their children has come back and they're living with them. So I am trying to say that living here is much more comfortable. Like I look after cows at some point. I cultivate. I went to many countries. Like when I went to the United States of America and stayed there for 4 months, I was looking for where their farms are. I was also passionate to see where they keep cows, and I was provided with an opportunity to visit a farm. When I went there, I went to Nebraska, and I found a corn plantation. Corn is actually a maize in our British grammar. So they have a plantation that extends almost from here up to Windrop, and they don't wait for the rain. That one is being irrigated. There's a lot of water that comes from rain, but what they do, when the rain is raining, they harvest the water. And when the rain stops, now they start farming. And when they do that, it gives them a quality time to irrigate their own farm. When they think that this crop needs water, they come and pour the water on it. And then they stay for some days. But here, we have plenty of water that go on west. But right now, the rain has been missing for almost 35 days now in Turale. It's true in Warab State, the entire Warab, of course. Rain has been missing for about 35 days today. Those who cultivated earlier are having their crops withering up. Their crops are dying because it needs rain. But if this water could be utilized, like most of it has evaporated, by the way. If there could be a swamp, like in this vast land that you are seeing, if we can dig a big swamp in the size of Lake Victoria, not Lake Victoria, in size of Lake Magadi in Kenya, in size of Lake Nakuru, or even in size of, we have lakes here, it's only that they have not been discovered. In size of Lake Chambe. Chambe is a lake, by the way, in South Sudan. In size of Lake Chambe, we can dig a lake here, like a big one, and that lake can accumulate all this water, put them in one place. And when we need it, we can establish farms around it. And of course, this place floods. We can also build dike to control the floods and direct it to the lake. So that when we need it, we put the machines right there and then we sprinkle. We can have the cultivation throughout the year. Like we cannot have a dry season here. Because all this water here that goes on my voice. To continue with my statement, I was saying that there are a lot of things that we need our government to capitalize on. One main thing that I wanted to say is that as you go straight eastward, there used to be a lot of villages. There used to be a lot of settlements in those places. But the vast majority of those villages are devastated and they are all displaced. If you go now, it's a bush. It's actually not far from here. It could be only 20 kilometers right from where I'm standing, and then you will venture into the villages that are abandoned. And that is because of insecurity. Twic, or let me say the eastern part of Werrap and the western part of Upper Nile have been rocked by intercommunal conflict. The revenge killing, cattle raiding, and all this has been ongoing since 2006. and it has devastated the community. It has created a trauma. It has destroyed cultures. It has displaced so many people. And in fact, in our community, there used to be categories of people. There were those who used to defend on fishing. And there used to be those who defend on farming and cattle keeping. Those who used to defend on fishing, who were living in the swamp that is actually the spot of the center of the conflict, have all withered up. Most of those people have died. They have all perished. The reason is because when they were living there, mostly they eat fish. They used to eat fish. You could hardly find them eating ugali or asida. Or if they do, they like to pour some soup on it. But when they came to the dry land and they could not find those, many of them succumbed to alcoholic consumption. Many of them succumbed to alcoholic consumption. And they all died off. Now there's children who are brought up in a mass cultures who do not understand what is actually the daily life situation that their parents are living in. They cannot cultivate and they cannot also fish. Are the street children that have littered all the towns.
Chol, let me interrupt you. Chol, by then, as a young man or a young boy, when you were at your childhood, you used to go for fishing, farming, and all of that. What could be the reason why at this time we cannot see young boys? They are just littering in the town. They are not fishing, and they are not even doing some farming. What could be the reason why they are not following your footsteps as someone who is living an example life?
It's a beautiful question. The reason is, let me say it very clearly for those who will listen to this. The reason why we do not have a defined way of bringing up the children is because we are all devastated. We have panicked. There's a lot of trauma in people. You know, you cannot find a elder today sitting down children and talk to them about their future. There's no leader that can sit them down and say, no, this is what you need to do as a child because your future is going to be like this. Today, you can't find it. People are living with trauma. Most of all these people have had their relative or their loved one killed. They have lost their loved one painfully in the battle. And this is not the battle. This is not a liberation struggle. It is not the battle that we had with Sudan. It is the battle that we've been having within ourselves, the Nuer and the Dinka. You know? So nobody bothered to sit down a child and say, don't do this because this is going to destroy you. They don't have hope. In fact, they have no hope at all. First of all, it has to be, you need to have a dignity. You need to have a self-esteem in order to do something. But these people don't have it. You know, like when we were children here, most of our time is spent here. We come here with a basket, we fish, we swim, we practice some other traditional things, some other ways of living. We could mold cows with mud here, under this tree. And there was another tree I showed you before. And there is this other one, those three ones. We used to spend like 3-4 hours under that tree, molding cows. You know, this used to teach us how to love cows, so that when you grow up, you cultivate, you sell your crops, you buy a cow. You know?
Do you think now there is a chance for young people to practice what you have just explained, given the fact that
there is no way, because these people, like most of the children that you find on the streets, are 10 to 14 years old, and those small ones also, they can't understand. They need to sit them down. But the 10 to 14 years old have lived on the street. They sleep in the cold. They sleep without food. It is so hard for you to say, do this, because they won't listen to you. They are also living with trauma. So I'm saying the contributing factor to all this is because of intercommunal conflict. It is because of the intercommunal conflict. It is the violent conflict that is going on that has destroyed people. You know, like those days, eating in a restaurant in the market. Like I think when the town was coming slowly from 1998 to 1999, 2000, when you see a young man, like a married young man, an able-bodied young man going to a restaurant like this, it used to be a shame that Mr. X is going to eat in the market, in the restaurant. Huh?
Yeah.
Like we don't need to go to the restaurant. Completely. Only those who go to restaurants are educated people, like the soldiers, or people who come back from Kenya, those who came back from Ethiopia, those who came from Khartoum. But people from within here, you would hardly see someone walking to the restaurant and eat there. They will be bullied, you know. So they eat at home. But that thing is not there now. So the cultural norms that used to hold us as people of Werap, or in particular Twic, are no longer there.
As we remind you, our dear viewers, we are here with Chol Matuekz to explain the beauty of our country. We are focusing mainly to expose the beauty of our country. As you can see around, this is the country we have. A bare bushland, we have water, we have natural resources, we have grass, we have everything in this. This is what they call chum. This is a tree used to be eaten by young people by then, instead of going to the town, unlike now. Chol, let me come back to you. This is, as we are close to our discussion to expose the beauty of our country, as a peace activist, I know you work for Peace Palace as a field coordinator. What can be done, in particular, as you might have heard, the area is being devastated, being disturbed by intercommunal fight and cattle raiding. As a peace activist working for Peace Palace, what should be done to ensure peace is returned, peace is achieved, so that young people who might feel they have to go for fishing, they can come to fish like this one here. As you can see, now you can see there, that is a bird trying to fish. There's no human being there. Yes, you can see there. This is the end river. What can be done?
In fact, thank you. That's another beautiful question, Marco. In fact, my viewers, I have actually traveled a lot in Africa. The reason is because I wanted to learn how once devastated countries got back together. I have been to Nigeria, I've been to Ghana, because in Ghana we have a region that has been devastated by cattle rustling. They call it Northern Region. So, but for the last 10 years, the cattle raiding has gone down. We visited those families, those communities, and they told us it is young people, it is youth and the government that helped reduce the cattle raiding in that part. I also shared the same experience with the northern Kenya. In fact, where I grew up in Kenya. I also shared the same experience.
You grew up in Kenya, now you're in the village.
Yeah, I went to Kenya when I was actually 15 years old.
Right.
I came back
yes.
in 2010. But before that, I was typically a cattle boy. Like, that's why I've been telling you all these places. Yeah. And then I also had an opportunity to travel to the Middle East and some part of Asia. The countries that are not actually, countries that have some still struggling and others have settled. So the only thing that will stop this is the involvement of all the community stakeholders, of all the stakeholders within the country. Here, I always say that the conflict between the eastern Werap and western Upper Nile is very easy. Because there was something that was done that helped calm down this thing. It was done in 1999 and it lasted for 7 years. So the families from Nuer side and the Dinka side all intermingled, and they put their villages together. And they lived together from 1999 to 2006. This thing was an initiative that was organized by South Sudan Council of Churches. And they had named it as the bottom-up approach. They left the government, they left the stakeholders. By that time, the SPLA split was still at its height. Dr. Riek was still away, and Dr. John was leading a different faction. But the South Sudan Council of Churches did not look at that. They say, why can't we try chiefs and traditional religious leaders? Not traditional religious leaders are different faculty within the leadership of a community. Those who are possessed, who have spirit within them. So they went and engaged these people and say, can we sit down and talk? In fact, they did not ask question, why do we need to talk? They say we need to talk. What is the problem? They say cattle wrestling, it's a cattle wrestling and revenge killing, tribal war and all this that is causing all this problem. That is preventing us from farming, from doing other things that benefit us in life. Then they say, okay, can we talk? We shall bring chief from Werap, and then we'll take you from here, and then we converge in one location and talked about this. They all agreed. They voluntarily agreed, and they all came together, and the conference was conducted in Wunlit Kongor in Tone East, in the present day Tone East. They met there. They talked and they said, what do we need to do? In fact, the conversation was owned by the stakeholders. So South Sudan Council of Churches and the government, the delegation from the government that came to oversee the process of dialogue, were just there. So they agreed, and then they laid down their own rules. And in fact, when the rules were implemented by the government of John Garang, peace was there. So this is what I also want to say. Like this year, in February, I went to Bentiu with a youth leader from here. And some people also, we met the youth leaders from Bentiu. Our aim was to go and engage the traditional religious leaders, like the Garden. So when we went there, we were received warmly in Bentiu. We met with a different section of youth leaders from Mayom, youth leaders from Twic and Mayardit. And then we sat down for 2 days and we told them that we wanted to come to the corral of a spiritual leader, Garden. They all agreed. They all volunteered to accompany us to Garden's place. But then by that time, the government was still not formed in Unity State. So the Honorable Governor Wenmu Twil told us it is not safe right now for you guys to go, because it could be better if the commissioner of Mayom was appointed so that he could accompany you. So he told us you can establish a phone contact with the spiritual leader, and then you will book another time to come. And because it was the chairperson of security in the state, we could not hesitate. So we said, okay, that's fine. We held a phone conference with the spiritual leader, and we told him our idea. He was very pleased. He said he was coming. So we came back here and we engaged our spiritual leaders here. I spoke to Ajiing several times. I've visited him almost 10 times now. And I also did the same to Gwangmaling Tor here. They all agreed to come together. Gadang said he wanted to come to Aweng. Not only because he wanted to participate in the dialogue, he also wanted to come and do some rituals at a place where he was born. In fact, he was born in Aweng. He said his umbilical cord is buried in Aweng, and that he wanted to come and do some rituals there.
Okay.
So it was a great thing, you know, having brought them together and have the chiefs together, and you bring the government and you say, can you own the dialogue? Can you suggest what needs to be done? If they ask the government, okay, can you form a joint armed force and deposit at the right of the border, so that when cattle are raided from Werap, driven toward Nuer, then this armed force blocked it. If people from Werap have gone to the other side and raid the cattle, the same thing has to be done. So by doing that, I think the cattle raiding will reduce. And also the strict, the supervised way of monitoring the thieves that leave from here or come from the other side, then there have to be bylaws that need to be established. Like if the thieves are doing that, these people must be arrested, apprehended, and then executed according to the rule of law. In fact, I will not say I'm a peace activist that I will support somebody who kills people. I will not do that. Somebody who takes life of an innocent person has to be treated the same. He's a criminal. He's the one who has contributed to the mess of this community. South Sudan is rich. We have food. This is food. But we cannot eat it because of insecurity. We cannot eat it. I cannot sleep. Like back in the days when Mitria used to come and kill us and displace us from the northward, we used to sleep under these trees. And the next day you go to the river, you get your fish. Miserias do not know all the corners. But we South Sudanese, there is no corner that we don't know. Like if you hide under this tree right now, a Nuer guy will not leave you, man. He will come and kill you. The same thing. If a Nuer hide under a tree, and then Dinga from this side will not leave them.
Thank you so much, Chol Matuekz.
Yeah.
What is your final message to the viewers? You have already exposed the beauty of this country, the beauty of this place, and you have also talked about the challenges facing the people at this area, so that if they are not able to cultivate peacefully, you have already explained the reason. Now, what is your final message to the viewers?
My final message to the viewers is that I know the viewers are mostly going to be young people. So my young people, can we have a different stand? I understand that most of us have actually been divided, and then we are at the backs of the politicians that make us clash. Can we disown these people? We have a future. You have nothing to eat today, but tomorrow, when our times come, you will be the president, you will be the prime minister, you will be the commissioner, you will be the commander. Why do we need to waste our time and spoil our name? Can we have a different stand so that when we say cattle wrestling must stop, we all come together from Works of Lab and say it has to stop. When we say land grabbing in South Sudan has to stop, we do the same. when we say, can we respect other people's culture? If Equatorians are saying they don't need cows because they only do cultivation, can we respect that? Can we recognize everybody's own way of life? And say, as young people, can we do this? You know, by doing that, I think we shall have a beautiful country. Like, we have this beautiful country, but who knows it? Nobody knows it. You know, it is us to market the beauty of this country to the outside world. Like Kenya, you know, are earning a lot of money, but they don't have this one here. Like when I was a kid, I remember in 1989, when I started knowing things, giraffes used to graze. Like we could sit under this tree during the day, but a giraffe will come and graze on the top of the tree. The same tree we are sitting under, giraffe graze over it. This place used to be a wildlife place. That's why it looks like this. The nature created for wildlife. But where are they now? They are all killed. They are all displaced. But when we have peace, they will come back. And we shall have people from other countries coming to watch and pay us. You know, we are blessed. But let us work together, young people.
As explained, the challenges facing people not to cultivate peacefully. So as a young people, we need to come back and work together to bring peace to this country. This is an area that can be used for cultivation and can be used for fishing. As Chol said earlier on, what need to be done is to live in peace, and then people will achieve everything here. For the viewers, I'm Marco Bakat.
Thank you.
Twic Mayardit, Warab State.
So, okay. So as you can see, Matuekz, kenene yeshol gwem both side regulo ne kia gwem aro kene chola ro. Na de tong ne tani yeshol elut ene wi del chidikene. So as you can see, this is the way people used to survive. Chol, can you explain briefly what is this? What you are trying to do here?
This is used to be a chilling spot for young boys. Like you leave home early in the morning, you come here and struggle. Sometimes you could leave as early as 6 a.m. in the morning. You come and spend the whole day doing this while the cows are grazing. Like it mostly happens during dry season.
Okay.
Yeah, and this time. So you come here. So when you leave at 6, you leave the cows home. So the cows will come later and find you here.
Okay.
So you come and spend the whole days doing this. You could get like so many tortoises.
Tortoise? Okay, tano tan china la yok ka good ka pi wala chila ka da muir. Good ka pi. Okay, ai ne tano ijil wala nyak da man yini ko da man jano ka ire dagan. Sata mene wala nyak. So bunu na nyak ka chakala yogari kare bas.
No.
Keko.
Ai ka nyopi. Ka nyopi.
As you can see, lot kartem gi ci ñop
ay ci ciod
ko yena ci ciod tin yaran ken di ko ciod lot ka ngwana ci ciod asa le ba pirin da ko ngula pir gaw piro yo ko pat pir ken pat so mëno
ne ken du
asa lot ka no ko ken lot ka di
tiagro
ngwan ku ñu ngwana ca ciod
tem kin ngwana ciod ko la
rogi
tiagro
so kay raun ter mai degrio jo wen tingete teken tumun kala ko yo ele ko di bajali ni tok bala kajario jo pedit kai ko ala twen deg damani ni kay mai ko yina gudul wat ci kene toy togotan inde daman bar ko pedit asa men ci gajan de tam ki can you open for me Matuekz the tem ki alo kartem kak ati ka nyob already ko janaro ke ki amu ke shin reken assassin reken wante tan ka ma elwe gale yol ene chwa ya pay dit min ya gob der ken so e yol ne de chwa pay amen ci ga ja local Yat ka ba wala yat ka su ba kalayo eh.
Makak, wala ba yen ba? Ika ka wi wa ayo di wala wa kita yo. Azi, yes, ikra ni sakar.
Okay. Viewers, this is what Chol Matuekz was talking about. Or Rebuka Pungtong Manjang, and can jam ran Chol Tin activist. Chol, can you relate what this guy has just been trying to say?
Yeah, in fact, that's what I was saying. You know, he said it is better for him spending time looking for a fish than spending a time in the markets, hanging out in tea place the whole day. So because he feels this one gives him dignity, he has something to call his own. Like right now, he's confidently going to the markets and sells this one. I think one here costs about
Toko Wagadi?
700.
Oh ya kadang ya arba.
So,
Yeah, he will have his
Raikaka one, as you can see, these two fish are 8,000 South Sudanese pound. Approximately how much dollars?
8,000 could be about $5.
$5?
Yeah, $5 to $10.
Yes.
$5, of course, if you go to the grocery store in the US,
Yes.
you can buy like a 3 liters buckets of milk.
Okay.
You can buy like 2 packs of bread, super loaf. You can also buy butter. You can do a heavy shopping with it in the US. Like he does this every day. You know, he's a rich guy.
Ayin min enin kadi in kalaj ben babe may da chirka ke kama ben kol ben wala de calling ben wala de call chin ben.
Jan kan pur di dengan aja tuan.
Ti deng twan yin ba ke yin kapur ba na chi deng liu to man kol ke deng twan
Kaya baca.
kele ba chal bala may. Okay. Ayin to ko de kay hunter chat ke yin la to wala yin to nom nukia.
Kaya bega ni tu, kaya bega udah ram.
Ujala
Aran dia la suk mun ku jola nyuti ni chai ko wel ke jo lak che ku tong ji tor ten ku ga ji ke yui ku yin nga ji ba ko ka ji ko mak pin ku ji ni ko che men e ke tinga de ko de ko loy ran ji ki ken jang no
Nah ceng kepala. Nah kadang ada lo ibu ntar kau kerja ngaku yun kuji kalau.
so panunte la ngoten tani jaltin tiok wala me kwesat ka dinga chat tani jaltin bala to daman ini kuna yin ta mayin daman ini nok baraj bajan nok daman sa wala sa kare wala nusa wala yo ke
Asap ya nusa wala sa. Tele berlo.
tel brolo apa da
Ini jalan mai kini tu.
apa da pai yin ke ira ter mai engo wi balwel rasala le balla mi da kuy ko wonter engo balle ke
ku ngo le ba wi jan ba mai dun ken de ga ran bu pyo to ko le ran ngo ba ko
Oke ya nasa ku palwel menang ba mai. Kalau bakal yo kini juga. Kalau aku pergi kan mak ada kedian sini oleh banyak.
engo yi jor meni ben to taken bala mai e kango ko yi jor
Oh ya jor. Yang uji sabun, yang uji alat, yang uji cain, pun bin itu camba.
ai bi ger
Gerato.
Igerato
Nala boleh ben, kan bandep.
be de ger ko okay ini chule ja pai chinga jam ko ku jo pidu ku jo mo ya pat kya to ngine chol to lango gan
Kena dah.
ene daw gan ene ke daw abiel about the bad it viewers as you can see we have just met this young man. He's a fisherman and he has already 6 fish in the bag and he has 2 and he has already eaten 4 so as you can relate to a certain artist who called Johnson Joglal, Junuba Dik, Junuba Lawit. Anywhere you go in this country, as long as you are hardworking, you can survive. Chol, any message, final message you can add?
thank you my people as this used to be our way of life when we were kids and I think this guy didn't tell us where he came from but I believe he just come from nearby villages in Bayan or no
Anak bakalan, kan aku bilang
Manal is just, you can see cows right there at the distance, even Tukul, just very close. He's heading this way because he's going to the market, but his home is down here. Yes, in fact, we have a lot of opportunities that we need to exploit, but because of lack of commitment from our educated people, and also, you know, like kokin ka bay yani kokin ka nyut mo tanin jimene ranken, if there could be an industrialization so that ba bobor bu ko loy tojo bu ti dan ken mai tin nyoji ka ko won bre ja jwa ga re kene ko dom, and then ka ko kyali bi pi ran bi ko pi gumu ti mana sa wo ko dom pere de ya chi le brar jor ta la su wala nyen ta la chai a chi dom en kana chi cham ai ko edum chi ade eti ko be ba ken ko ben mu ko ja we ba yuk tin ati ngale ya ba. So this guy live a decent life, you know what I mean? So ne kile ba matinga.
Okay, as you have seen from this guy, he just went for fishing this morning, and he has so far managed. These are fish. He has already roasted them. These are 4, and he already has 2, and he has already eat 4. So, as a young people, we need to invest on our natural resources. You go for fishing, you go for cultivation, and you're able to survive. As Chol put it earlier on, this is how people used to survive. Our parents, our grandparents, and this you can see at the background. This is a very best piece of territory of land that we own in this country. This place can be used for rice, for cultivation of rice, and so many things. So viewers, we are here with Chol Matuekz as he explained the beauty of this country and the resources and how people can survive in the rural setting. For viewers, I'm Marco Makat, Marawi State, Twic Mayardit.
Thank you.